Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our Hearthstone chat. I'm here with Steve. Steve, how are you? Did I say Hearthstone correctly this time?
You did.
I
you
did.
Said it. Yeah.
Fantastic.
You nailed it.
Oh, that's happy days. So we had a lot of fun last time, and unfortunately, our good friend Ozzy can't come in today. So we're just going to be double teaming this, and I would like to get a little more in depth with our Hearthstone discussion. And I want to be talking about resources in Hearthstone, and not yes, mana, but there's a lot more to it than just talking about mana. So I would like to begin with talking with card advantage.
Your pronunciations are adorable.
It's I have. Is it mana? Are you making fun of the way I say mana? It's mana.
A little bit.
Mana.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's mana.
Mana.
You're from Jersey.
Long A. Whatever. So card advantage. Steve,
card advantage.
Steve, what is card advantage?
Card advantage is one of the easiest sort of concepts to understand because it is exactly what it sounds like. It's when you have more cards than your opponent. And that seems like a small thing because if you're like, man, I've only got 3 cards, but they're really great, you know. But if your opponent has 9 cards, then chances are he has more tools to dismantle your 3 cards. So if your opponent has more cards than you, it is a big advantage. And some classes sort of lend themselves more to that than others.
What are some classes or specific decks that utilize card advantage very well?
Well, it's funny you ask about decks. There are some. There's one specific class that really, basically, a deck has been formed around this idea. Warlock, the class, its ability life tap drains a little life and gives you a card in exchange for it. So it basically always has the option of having card advantage. You can only draw, if you're facing a Warlock, you can generally only draw 1 card per turn, unless you play another kind of card to draw a card. The Warlock can draw 2 cards every single turn, as long as they want to. So they have a big advantage in that regard, and a deck that's been built up specifically around that fact is what we call Handlock. It's called that because you have a lot of cards in your hand, and it is a Warlock, so Handlock.
We're geniuses, us Hearthstone players, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. So Handlock basically it basically skips the first 2 turns and just taps, which is when you press the button to life tap. That's tapping. Skips their first few turns, taps usually until turn 3 or 4. Sometimes they'll use smaller removal tools like Dark Bomb. But then around turn 4, they start breaking out big threats because there are cards like Twilight Drake and Mountain Giant that basically become cheaper or more powerful based on how many cards you have in your hand.
Right.
So if you are a Warlock and you've been tapping a lot, you have this huge hand up to like 9 or 10 cards. 10 is the maximum amount of cards you can have in your hand. So once you get to that level, you need to discard something anyway. And so that's when they can start breaking out, an 8/8 on turn 4, and you need something to deal with that at that point if you're facing against a Handlock.
Going off of that, because when you talk about card advantage, you also have to talk about card value at the same time, because each card has its own value. You usually look at the mana cost and the attack and the health of it. But however, their value doesn't stay throughout the entire match. Like the perfect example, like I was looking into it, was the Bloodfist Ogre. Bloodfist Ogre is a very valuable card. It's kind of lame. Well, not lame, but boring. But at the same time, it's very valuable. It's a high cost minion that does high cost damage with high cost health. However, it reduces its value greatly when that health goes away. What is it, 7/6, I think? I'm just saying that on top of my head.
Are you talking about a Boulder Fist Ogre?
What did I say, Ogre Fist?
I think you said Bloodfist.
Bloodfist. Okay, there's so many ogre clans. I'm just going to use the excuse of, like, I've played, like,
Andrew
other
knows
Warcraft.
WoW, like, too well for this discussion.
So I get my ogre clans mixed up, which is so weird thing to say. But regardless,
it's a 6 mana 6/7, which is generally when we talk about card stats, we talk about vanilla stats being the health and attack stats should basically average out to the cost of the card, unless it has some special doodad that it does. So 6/7 for 6 is good vanilla stats. That's why it's kind of a classic, like, basic, powerful card.
Right. And speaking of Doodad, because a lot of cards lose value once the Doodad goes away. Perfect example is I'm gonna mess up this name too. It's the owl, the Iron Beak Owl.
Iron Beak Owl.
The Iron Beak Owl. Which is
It's a terrible card.
It's a terrible card.
I mean, it's terrible vanilla stats, yeah.
Yes, but at the same time, it has a very, very useful battle cry. It can silence a minion. When you're versing a mage, that is amazing.
Yeah, and silence is...
However...
Silence is one of those effects that Blizzard is very stingy with on purpose, because I've heard them talk about this before. They want your big effects to be big effects, like when you break out a Sylvanas or something, you know.
Right.
They want that to be big and threatening, and they don't want silence minions to be so prevalent that you can just do it anytime, all the time. Who cares, you know? So basically, if you they make their silence minions have bad stats. You know, there's the Iron Beak Owl, and there's another one that I'm blanking on the name for right now, is 4 mana, 4/3. So those are bad stats. So you basically have to be like sacrificing something to deal with it, and you also are sacrificing a piece of your deck.
Right.
Like you only have 30 cards in your deck. You're sacrificing a piece of it for that.
And its value greatly diminishes as soon as you play it on the field.
Yes.
Like you use it, it's like,
that really goes
great.
for.
And then it's like, well, now I just have a 2/1 on the board.
That really goes for most battle cries and most death rattles. Without the battle cry or death rattle, it loses its advantage a lot. And then you get into all sorts of there's so many things to talk about with Hearthstone, but you get into the cards that pull things out of your deck and just place them on the board. It's like, well, that wasted my battle cry. One of the biggest mistakes that newcomers make, since we're sort of talking to newcomers with this series, one of the biggest mistakes newcomers make, and something that I did a lot for a long time, is overvaluing battle cries, where, you know, speaking of card advantage and things like that, if you have the one great example is the 3/3 for 3 Paladin card, which reduces an enemy to 1.
Right.
You know,
yes.
A lot of players when they're new will be like, "Oh, I need to hold on to this. I need to hold on to this. If he breaks out something huge, this is my lifeline." Right. You know. But if you're facing down an enemy, a minion, and that is the right answer to it, if a 3/3 minion is the answer to it, then who cares? Just
do it. Yeah.
just do it and get it out there. Because getting that advantage earlier in the game is going to benefit you more and win you games more often than saving some perfect answer for later on. The same thing goes for that neutral 3/3 for 3 that mind control tech that takes an enemy minion.
Right.
Whereas a lot of newbies will just be like holding on to it. Like, they're gonna play 4 minions eventually, I swear. It's gonna happen.
It's not really helping you if you're holding on to a minion for the entire game and not using it. That's also exactly. You can say the same thing about the card as well, or excuse me, the coin. Like you're like holding it. It's like, oh, I want to use this on turn 6 so I can do this. Like, you might not make it to turn 6. You should probably use, if like you have a situation to use your coin, use that coin, get the advantage on the board, because it's mainly about board control, and that coin is there to help you.
And that's really like the other end of card advantage. I'm going to circle back around to card advantage, I swear. But the other end of card advantage is board advantage. If you have both card advantage and board advantage, you're basically probably going to win, unless they do some insane swingy play.
Right.
But if you have card advantage and they have board advantage, or vice versa, it's still a competitive game. Warlock is sort of the gold standard for card advantage. They always have access to card advantage. Paladin is an interesting example, because they have the one card which it is arguably like the most overpowered draw card in the game, where you just draw until you match your opponent's cards.
Oh yeah,
card number.
Yeah. That's happened to me once.
It's called Divine Favor. So if you're playing against a card like Handlock, and you are a Paladin, then you instantly, for a fairly cheap cost, for 3 mana, you get just as many cards as they have, and you didn't have to tap for it. So Paladin is like the great equalizer. They're not particularly strong in card advantage, but they have a tool that they can always match it. And just to bring up the counter example, the worst class, at least in my opinion, as far as card advantage, is Hunter, which is why you see so much what we call face hunter. Hunters that just play a lot of cheap minions and go after your
direct
face.
Damage, yeah.
Direct damage, trying to end the match as quickly as possible, because their hero power plays into that. But two, since they have so few card draw tools, like they really don't have any that are specific to them. They can use neutral ones, but they don't really have any specific hunter card draws. The best they have is the one that if your hand is empty, it cycles itself and draws you a new card, which is such a specific edge case that it really, again, only plays into the face hunter type. So basically that combination of elements means that mid-range hunter is very hard to pull off, because to do any kind of mid-range deck, mid-range meaning you've got a lot of 4, 5, and 6 mana minions, and so you can carry yourself into the late game on that. That's what mid-range means. So there's not really a mid-range hunter. Mid-range hunter has never really been a thing as far as competitive, high-level decks, because they just don't have that tool available to them.
Right. Now, I wanna wrap this up before we blab even more about Hearthstone.
I have one more card advantage.
That is literally what I was about to ask. You have one more thing that you want to add to this.
I do. So I mentioned neutral minions that draw cards. There's things like Loot Hoarder, which might be my favorite sound effect, or one of my favorite sound effects. But there's Loot Hoarder and things like that. There's some cards that get you draws that kind of force your opponent to make suboptimal plays, and that's a really powerful tool that you have available to you, like Acolyte of Pain, where it's this 1 mana, 3 mana 1/3, horrible stats by the way, but a 3 mana 1/3, they're going to want if your opponent is at all smart about Hearthstone, they're going to want to remove that in one turn. They're going to want to take it out with one attack, rather than giving you 2 or 3 cards. They want to take it out quickly. So that means they have to waste some 3 or 4 attack minion or weapon to take that thing out, instead of targeting something that might be more powerful. Another good example is the Cult Master, where it's a 4 mana 4/2, I think. But every time another minion dies, you draw a card, as long as it's on the board. So people have to target that one first. So there's a lot of little tools you can use, not only to have card advantage, but to sort of use the threat of card advantage against your opponents.
That's a very those two are very interesting examples, because they also kind of dip into tempo, which is a discussion that we will be having at a later date, but we will get to that later. Steve, thank you very much for joining me on this lovely Hearthstone discussion. For more stuff like this, please head over to shacknews.com.